Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon and welcome. We are live now. All right, again, hello and welcome. I am Tina Patterson, Principal Attorney at Patterson Justice Council in Detroit, Michigan. Where pursuing justice is our business. We help everyday individuals protect their property, have their rights respected, and leave legacies to their lineage. We do this because we believe that law should be used as a tool for liberation and expansion and not oppression. Today is Wednesday, March 8th, International Women's Day. And this month, March, Women's History Month, we're going to be focusing on legal issues as they pertain to women and how they kind of intersect in everyday life. So, again, we'll be discussing key concepts that are critical to our experience of life and why it is necessary to fight to keep these things in our favor. And while it doesn't only apply to women, because it's Women's History Month and we have case examples, we're going to get into that, but anybody can take something from these conversations. So today, particularly, we're going to be demonstrating that victory is always possible, not guaranteed, but it's possible to those who refuse to succumb to defeat, to the battle before it begins. And this is part two of our conversation. When you fight, you can win. Part one that we released on Monday, we talked about three kind of core areas where it's more necessary to fight and more worth putting up the fight to get what's on the other side of it. We talked about the financial vault, which is your money, fighting for the right reasons for your money, future ventures, so fighting for the future that you want to see, that you want to develop, and then your foundational values. What do you stand for? What do you care about? So today we're going to be getting into case studies, actual case studies into each of these points. Now, for the first case study, we did talk about it in the original video, but it's worth kind of fleshing out again because it's very important. And it's about the financial vault, about the money, okay? So as we previously discussed, um, when it comes to money and how it can be owed to you but withheld from you, why it's important to fight for that back. And all of these case studies are all women clients, okay? So again, not always a particular issue that pertains to either men or women, but in practice, this is how it's gone. Okay. So female client was attempting to obtain a $25,000 life insurance policy after the death of her father. And the insurance company held the funds for 6 months, even after the proper court paperwork had been filed, the probate paperwork had been completed, and she was able to collect. The insurance company still withheld the funds. Now, as the attorney, I'm working on the court work, right? Trying to make sure that we're meeting deadlines, we're getting these things filed when they needed to be filed. But she did inform me about this issue. Usually, life insurance is kind of automatic. It doesn't have we don't even have to go to court for it. It just gets passed on right away. But since there was no beneficiary on the policy, we needed to have the probate work done so she can then go collect the funds. But the matter did not have to go to court. So why the insurance company was withholding the funds, we don't know. Okay. But either way, my client informed me about it. So I addressed it as needed in my own way with no additional court case, because again, this is something that we don't need to try to open up another case for, which is going to cost more time, more money, more hassle, more stress, more inconvenience. Okay. So within a week, by that next week, the insurance company released the funds to the client. So what was I able to do? Save the time, save more money from another court case, save the hassle, save the stress, and deliver the funds within 1 week. What had been 6 months held away, we got in 1 week, $25,000. Okay. Without taking this issue head on, it could have been another 6 months. Again, it could have been another unnecessary, unneeded court battle. Who knows how that could have gone? And just to think about how much that can do, receiving that kind of money at one time that you're owed, right? That you're not just trying to go around and bully people for, but something that you're entitled to. So that is something that can be fought, can be won. That's the whole point of all of this. I find a lot of times in practice that people are just too afraid, too timid, don't want to step on any toes. But there's something on the other side of that fear that is really owed to them. Okay. That they had already signed up to get, but now time to deliver on it, time to collect, and the other person doesn't want to let go. And that's not right. And you'll see in all these stories at the end of the day, it's not right. And we can't just let the wrongs be wrongs, because then we'll never be able to get what we're owed, get what we deserve. So the second, we're talking about future ventures. The second case again involved property development, and we touched on it in the first video. We're going to go into more detail on it now. So another, again, another female client who bought a lot of property, a lot, not a lot, but a specific piece of property called a lot of property from our local government authority here in Detroit, which is called the Land Bank Authority. The transaction at the time, they were still new, but since then, the land bank has developed a sketchy reputation. So when the client purchased the property, she paid the price that was under the contract, and the land bank had to give her the deed. But they never received it. My client never received the deed as required, so the land bank never fully completed their part of the deal. So just a few months later, my client and the land bank, the city, were sued by a neighbor who was claiming to be the rightful owner of the property. Now, not only did the court agree with this neighbor, but the land bank agreed as well. They completely reneged on their promise to my client to deliver the deed under the contract. And if that wasn't bad enough, they also sued her $22,000 for allegedly misrepresenting herself as someone who was lawfully entitled to purchase this property. Now, this case went on for about 6 months when the client finally hired me. And by that time, the client had actually lost the property already. The court had already ruled against her, despite her best efforts at making her argument without an attorney. But again, when you fight, you can win. I reviewed the case, disagreed with the outcome, and found a solution. So, first, the $22,000 lawsuit that the city tried to initiate against her was done incorrectly, in my opinion, out of intimidation. And I got that dismissed immediately because we can't have that going on. Now, when it comes to the property, we had to take that to a higher court. So we appealed the decision to the Michigan Court of Appeals. It is the second highest court in the state. And guess what? We won. Okay, so that's two victories right there. Client is going to get her property back, and client does not have to pay $22,000 that the city is saying she owes. We got rid of that. So the court had overruled that previous decision that took the property from her. Okay, I want you to understand that the property that she rightfully purchased was taken away from her. We reversed that. So the court overruled that, and they ruled that, again, my client was the rightful owner, and they had to have the property be turned over to her. Despite those very clear instructions in that first victory, the case was appealed again by the losing party, the losing neighbor. However, the Court of Appeals stood by their first decision. They stood firm on it, and they maintained that my client was indeed the rightful owner. Now, the entire case took nearly 5 years for full completion, 5 whole years, but the end result was justice, righteous victory, and the future potential of that land to its rightful owner. That is the result of fighting through the pain to get to the prize. And even against the intimidation, the $22,000, some people would just kind of cave in. Oh my gosh, they're suing me. The city's suing me. I did something wrong. I owe this. No, you don't. When you know that it's not right and that you are entitled to something that has been taken from you wrongfully, it gives you a certain energy to really fight against that wrong. Okay. And that's where you can't be, let your guard down. That's where you can't sink into the negativity. You can't sink into the stress. A lot of, tactics are designed to make you believe that, but it's not true. So again, just fighting through the pain to get to the prize. It is never going to be an easy journey, but despite all of the hassle, all the stones being heaved in your way, it is worth it at the end, in the end. Okay, in the last case, we're talking about standing for foundational values. Another female client, this was recently too, this was only within the last year that this happened. I purchased a vehicle from a major GM, General Motors, car dealership in our region. And we're in Detroit, the Motor City. GM is a big deal, a big entity here, and their car dealerships are everywhere. So my client was promised, she was promised a new vehicle with heated seating. That's what she went there to buy, which she relied on as comfort to care for her elderly mother who had some health challenges. So not only did the vehicle that she purchased not have the heated seating, which was the primary purpose she wanted that specific vehicle, but the car did not even have a chip. This was in the middle of the semiconductor chip shortage during COVID. So Many of the functions in the car, the automated functions, were not available because it didn't even have the little piece that needed the entire car to run on that system. Now, the client wasn't told about this, but when she discovered it, she raised the issue to management. But she was treated very disrespectfully, told some things that were just very rude and, left her feeling a very negative experience. And just as a business owner, you don't want to leave people feeling that way, especially if they're already making a big purchase from you. But that was her experience. And she was told that there was nothing that could be done. Now, before contacting me, the best offer the client received was to take the car back and to just leave her without a vehicle. So basically, we'll take your car back from you, but you don't have a car anymore. And that wasn't an option for her. So the client consulted with me and we went to work. Our objective was to get what was promised under the contract to her, a new car, as quickly as possible. Now, could we have gone to court right away? Yes. But time was of the essence because it was the dead of winter and client was especially concerned about caring for her mother. So right away, we made our demands known. We were initially rejected. We were even told that what we were asking for might not even be possible. However, we kept the fight going. We heightened the intensity of the negotiation. We raised the stakes. And because we simply refused to take no for an answer, within 1 week, we had entered into talks into getting my client a new vehicle. Not just taking back her vehicle and fixing it, but a brand new vehicle entirely, a brand new model. Okay. Ultimately, by refusing to settle, refusing the disrespect, refusing the deception, we secured a brand new vehicle for my client, custom built for her, with the heated seating as needed, worth twice as much as the initial vehicle she purchased. And finally, all her previous payments from the old vehicle were returned to her. So that was about 6 months worth of payment. So she's actually leaving the dealership, right? Leaving the new car company with cash in hand. Uh, and that was a whole other story in itself. Well, ultimately, she got paid for the car, is the point. And she kept the same monthly payment moving forward. Now, I'm sharing these stories because too often we give in to bigger opponents, not taking on the challenge and settling for less than we want or deserve, especially when it is owed to us. Each of these examples, the clients were owed the other end of the bargain that was not kept to them. But by refusing to cave into intimidation, refusing to accept disrespect, and standing on truth and not deception, we're able to deliver big results. Now, often big is on the other side of fear. So we cannot be afraid to face the confrontation head on. And that is the entire point of the series that we did this week. We'll probably get into more of it as time goes on because oftentimes that's kind of the starting point of any suit that is like has a lot of merit like this. There's something that went wrong. Somebody did something wrong somewhere down the line, and someone is feeling aggrieved, but may not feel like they can take that on right away. And that's where the benefit of a professional representative can come in. But you have to develop, even within yourself, that confidence, that courage to take it on because you say, you know what, no, it's not right, and I'm not going to stand for that right. Okay. So if you like this video, share it with a friend, like it, subscribe to the channel. We are live every Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, like it, share it, subscribe, and we will see you again next Wednesday, March 15th at 1:30 p.m. Eastern. Until then, take care.